Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Movie Section channel. My name is Rariba, and surprising earlier today, we actually got a brand new trailer for the upcoming, I believe it's Amazon series, Spider-Noir. If you're not aware of this project, I believe there was this really small movie called Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, where, I mean, honestly, that's a film that I think a lot of us can agree is honestly one of the best Spider-Man movies out there, especially because I don't think a lot of us really anticipated that it was going to be such a great film in the way that it was. I mean, I know I was absolutely floored by the film itself. And of course, one of the greatest things about that film is that it's really focused on the Spider-Verse. So we got to meet so many different kinds of Peter Parkers. And one of them happened to be the Spider-Noir version. And since that time, we've been hearing developments of a possible Spider-Noir series. And of course, it's going to be played by Nicolas Cage, for those who don't know. He voiced the Spider-Noir in Into the Spider-Verse, and I think he did that again, if I'm correct, in Beyond the Spider-Verse. And now here it is. We finally not only has a show itself in film, but now we're actually getting the show itself, I believe, this year. So we are getting the first trailer for this. I believe there's a black and white version and a colored version. But because of the fact that this is technically Spider-Noir, I'm going to go with the black and white version. But I'm very excited to see the series. I actually been kind of avoiding a lot of the information about it just because I want to kind of go into the series itself, clean slate. I don't want to have too many spoilers, so I don't think I'm to really say a whole lot as of yet, but I want to go and check out the first preview for it. So without further ado, let's get right down into watching the first trailer for Spider-Noir. Tell me why.
You already know how it ends.
Well, then start from the beginning.
Tick. Dots. Impulses. I manage to suppress them most of the time. What's going on, man?
Okay. Okay. The producer, yep. What the hell happened to him?
I beat up some guys in a. I can't.
Also, he built out. Of course, that was no responsibility. I love that. What are you thinking about over there?
That I'm an existential crisis, if I'm honest. It's like a nerve, huh?
Oh, this is giving me some Chinatown vibes. With the forest spike. Oh, I love it. Oh. Which two wait? Okay. Okay. That was the first trailer for the upcoming series Spider-Noir, and I'm gonna say it looks really, really intriguing in so many great ways. And first off, I mean, of course, this is based on Spider-Noir. I think there's a comic book version of it, so that's of course inspiring a lot of what we saw with Into the Spider-Verse. But I believe this is also slightly different. It's not Peter Parker. I think it's like Ben Grimm or something like that. I think that's what I read somewhere, that they kind of took a different approach with the whole Spider-Man story here. So, but that being the case, we still get the essence of a Spider-Man story, right? What we saw back in Into the Spider-Verse, where he eventually gets bitten, he has these Spider-Man powers, and of course it's going to be a little bit more appropriate in terms of the historical context of this, because this is because when you watch this show, when you see the first preview of this trailer, right, you really get the sense of this is going to be your typical crime noirs that we got from the 70s. What was it, the season 70s? I mean, right off the bat, I was saying, oh my god, this is giving me Chinatown vibes, right? Yes, I've seen Chinatown. So I'm like, okay, this is giving me a lot of Chinatown vibes. So it's very close to that kind of essence that we're getting from this. I mean, the aesthetic gives that. I mean, the whole aesthetic is done on purpose, because that's what the show is called Spider-Noir. But at the same time, you can see that there's still the essence of Spider-Man in some cases. You can see how we have the essence of Spider-Man here and there. I think what I really love about the first show that we got here is the fact that we have bits and pieces, everything that we love about Spider-Noir in terms of like what it is giving to us as audiences. So of course the Spider-Man bit where we have, you know, this character, like I believe it's Ben Grimm, I could be wrong, but a character who's now getting the essence of the spider, you know, powers, and how that's going to affect his how it's going to affect his life, given the fact that he's a detective. Plus, it seems so that there is going to be a little bit more of a backstory to it as well. Like, it looks like he may have been in the World War, some kind of war, maybe World War II. So we have that. But then I think what is great is that we have Nicolas Cage. So, I mean, I know he's played Ghost Rider before. I actually have never really seen the Ghost Rider movies, not gonna lie, mostly because I've heard that they're not the greatest, but it's kind of insane that he's now going back to like a Marvel property, but not as Ghost Rider, of course. He's now playing like a Spider-Ling character, Spider-Noir in this case. Of course, a character that he actually voiced in Into the Spider-Verse. So that's what, again, I love how we're keeping up with the consistency of this, but now we're seeing him playing another Marvel character after what, so long? I think, what was it? The second Ghost Rider film came, like, was it 2014? So it's been like what, 12 years. But when you're watching this trailer, like, it's like they, even though the fact that this is a show that is, you know, about Spider-Man, we're still getting the essence of like the greatest parts of Nicolas Cage acting. You can see him being very strange. You can see him being a little bit more freaky with his performance. I think a lot of that's being exuded from the fact that he is now starting to exude some of the powers, right? Like, I think we saw in the beginning of the trailer where what it seems as though that when he gets bitten by the spider, that he started to kind of get the after effects of that bite. So like, oh, like probably the spider senses, the fact that he's probably going to, you know, get the sense of the webs, all that sort of stuff. And so I really love how the trailer itself really sets that up. That we get the best the best aspects of Nicolas Cage. We get the best essence of Spider-Man, and not only that, but also making sure that the aesthetic of the actual series is still kind of giving us the greatest parts of 60s, 70s, you know, noir thriller, right? Like, I mean, as I was saying, I was screaming Chinatown when I was watching the trailer. I was like, oh, this is giving me a lot of Chinatown vibes. So, like, you can literally see one part where you have, like, a family fiddle. Looks like some kind of incident may have happened, and now it seems so that there's going to lead into some kind of investigation. But yet, all of this is being incorporated and being blended to what is now known as Spider-Noir. Again, giving us a different essence of a Spider-Man story that we haven't really seen before, or at least not something that we would see adapted to like a TV or movie. Of maybe, of course, we've probably seen comics, but not something like this. I mean, yes, we have kind of got a hint of his character back into the Spider-Verse, but that was like what, the introduction of his character, right? I mean, that was kind of like the whole gag that they had with Into the Spider-Verse, that they all kind of had the same origin story with a few small changes here and there. But now it's like we actually have a whole series dedicated to Spider-Noir, where it's really focused on him. Will it kind of integrate any bits of Into the Spider-Verse? I'm not exactly sure. I don't think they're gonna go into the whole multiverse aspect of it, because that's what the actual movie was about. I don't think they're gonna go into that whole section. But that being the case, it's kind of exciting that we're actually getting like a Spider-Man show. I believe this is actually, I think this is going to Amazon, right? So I from what I'm aware, they've actually had so many different Spider-Man shows in development on at Amazon, but not a whole lot of them passed through to kind of go into pre-production phase. I think there was like one even for like, I think there was like Black Silk or something like that, or Black Cat, something of that sort. A lot of those shows did not make it through, and then yet we have one that actually is materializing, and not only materializing but also getting a release this year. So it's really exciting that we're actually getting Spider-Noir this year. And that's on top of the fact that we have so many other Marvel shows coming out. I mean, not exactly from Amazon, but more so with Disney Plus. Of course, we have Daredevil Born Again coming out. I don't know if Vision Quest is this year. I have to double check on that. And of course, we have Avengers Doomsday coming out later this year. But yeah, no, I mean, this is a really intriguing trailer that I've seen so far. Now, I will admit, I actually did
watch the color version right after. I did not record that version just because I was like, I already seen the first version of it. There's no use of recording another version of that. I would say that given the fact that they are giving us two different trailers, one that's monochrome, one that is, the three color. I was curious to see like what's like how would the vibes change or will there be any kind of difference. And I will say for sure that I think watching the trailer originally in the monochrome version was actually the better choice. I think watching the monochrome version allowed me to kind of get the essence of the neo-noir thriller out of it. It really kind of gave a lot of that callback to what are some of the classic neo-noir movies that we've had again from the 60s and 70s. So I was like, okay, this is I really get I like you can really get the sense of the aura, the tone, just watching the black and white version. Whereas when I was watching the colored version, I wasn't getting the same feelings. I mean, I can understand why they put out the color version, and I know that with today's audience, there's some people who just don't like watching things in monochrome. They prefer watching things, in today's upgrade, which is all the colored versions. And I get it. Some people just can't really adapt to watching certain kinds of movies. I know we've had a lot of movies that have done black and white, but those again, I think nowadays audiences are just not very tuned into those. But I'm also the type of person who really appreciates when a series or a movie uses the coloring as a huge part of setting up and and kind of playing a big role in setting up the aesthetic of the actual series. And I feel like I believe the true intention of the series was to be in black and white. But that being the case, it does seem as though that they're giving the audience the option to either watch it in the authentic version, like I think that's what they're calling it, the authentic version, which is the black and white, or if they prefer the color version because they just maybe are not used to the whole monochrome, viewing experience, then they can watch the color version. I think for me personally, I think just having seen the two trailers and just comparing them, I'll probably watching the black and white version just because I feel like that was the intended way of seeing the series. And again, I get the sense of the classic elements of a neo-noir series out of it. But yeah, that's a personal preference for everyone. Again, I'll talk more about it in a second. I will say if there's one thing that maybe I felt a little bit differently from the color version, that I felt different with color version from the monochrome version that I think was a little bit of an improvement, was the fact I actually did miss out on the fact that they actually showed a couple of the villains. I think there was Electro. I did see Electro in the first version. I didn't, and then we see a little bit more of the color version of him in the trailer. The one I did miss, I believe it looked like that was Sandman. We get like a really quick glimpse of Sandman at the end of the trailer, and I did not actually catch him in the black and white version. I only caught him in the color version. So I would say that was maybe the only time that I was like, okay, there's maybe one thing that the color version allowed me to spot that I may have missed in the black and white version. So there's that. But we do get the first look of some of the villains. So there's that, of course. But as I said, I think I would still prefer the black and white version, even though I did miss the whole Sandman part of the black and white version. I think, of course, probably once we get to the actual series, that we'll probably be able to figure out that this is going to be Sandman. I believe is played by Jack Houston. So yeah, I mean, it looks like the fact that we already got like two of the six Sinister Six, it's like, well, okay, are we kind of doing the whole Sinister Six thing? I don't know if there was any other villains that maybe I may have missed, but as I said, nevertheless, that's the first look that we got of Spider-Noir. I'm actually very intrigued to see this series. Of course, we don't get like a whole lot of the plot details. We just kind of get the idea of who this character is, who he is in terms of his noir version. But we don't get a whole lot in terms of his plot. We know there's something going on. We just don't know what exactly that something is. Again, that's typically what we get with first trailers. We don't get a whole lot of plot details. It's just more like the aesthetic of the actual series, just to kind of give us a first impression of it. Usually by the second trailer is when we get a little bit more of the context of what the show is going to be about. So, and that's exactly what this trailer is doing. So, but even that being the case, we finally get the first look of this whole series, and I'm actually very intrigued to see it. And of course, it's coming from Amazon. So, and I know a lot of Amazon shows are really, really good. I've seen Fallout. So, This is now going to be on one of my lists as well. But now, having seen the trailer, what are your thoughts? Now seeing the first look of Spider-Noir, are you somebody who is a big fan of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse? Are you excited to see that we're actually getting kind of an extension of one of the characters from that film, and going into the small screen and kind of getting an expansion of that version of the character, let alone being played by Nicolas Cage? Like, thoughts on that? What do you think about Nicolas Cage's performance? We like, I mean, I know for a lot of you guys, you remember him from Ghost Rider, but now he's gonna be playing Spider Noir. What does that feel like? What are your first thoughts now seeing his performance here, or at least getting a glimpse of his performance here? For those who may have actually seen the color version of the trailer and then may have done the comparison, what is your preference? Are you gonna watch in color? Are you gonna watch in black and white? Do you have a preference? Do you think one is better over another, or maybe you have some different thoughts from what I've indicated here? Let me know your thoughts below and make sure to like and subscribe.